Hello, everyone. Our Discovery Island book, Grade 6. This lesson for today is Unit 8, Lesson 6. The lesson is a writing lesson. Lesson 6 is a writing lesson. The title for the writing for today is we are going to learn how to write about the history of someone in your family. So that is what we are going to do today. We're going to write about a history of someone in your family. The family tree, if you can remember, starts with the granddad and the grandmother, and it has the mom, the dad, and the aunt. Now I want you to choose one in your family tree that, let's say, you look up to and you respect and you admire, and this person has a history that you can write about. So which one in your family tree would you like to write about? It can be your grandfather, your grandmother, your aunt, your uncle, your dad, your mom. So it have to be someone who has a history, who is old enough to have a history to write about. What kind of information are mentioned in the text? Now, these two texts are texts that we took before in the in lesson 5. So there are certain texts written by people about their families. This one here was written about the granddaughter, about her grandfather, and this one was written by the son about his dad or his father. So what kind of information are mentioned in these two texts? Let's take this text, for example, my father's family tree. Let's see what are the main things that you have to mention when you write about someone in your family's history. We'll start with, for example, here. He started with, he mentioned, after he said who this person is, and he gave us the name and what is the order in his family. He is the second of 3 brothers. He said that he grew up in a little village. So he told us where did he grow. Okay, so this is one of the information that is important to mention when you start writing about your someone in your family's history. The next information one was he was brought up by his parents. So who brought this person up? Who took care of him? Who educated him? Who taught him? So he was brought up by his parents. And then we have the information he got on really well with his younger. Who is the person that he got on with? He used to play with. He has good relationship with. Then my dad looked up to his older. Who is the person that this person looked up to? Who used to respect? Who does he admire? Who is the person that he looked up to? My father decided that he wanted to have an adventure. So what is something that is important happened to this person in his life, something interesting in his life that he decided to have an adventure? He had worked as a waiter. What was his job? What did he work? And what was his education? What did he learn? What did he study? So he went to a high school to learn English. How did he get married? Or did he actually get married or not? So yes, he got married. And how many children does he have, or does he have children or not? So these are the main information that you have to mention in your writing. Before we start writing, let's go to the in your class book, page 93.
Ryan is doing a project about his family history. Listen and number the photographs 1 to 4 in the order in which he describes them.
Okay, so Ryan here is doing a project about his family history. It's not just one person. He's doing a project about more than one member in his family, lots of members, lots of persons in his family. So these are photographs from 1 until 4. He is going to describe what's in the photograph. What are you going to do? You are going to write the correct number for each photograph that he described.
This is an interesting photo.
Yes, that's my Uncle Farid on the left and my Aunt Layla on the right. They just arrived in Mexico on holiday. They're sitting in a cafe and they decided where to visit next. Uncle Farid is my father's brother. They were brought up in Jordan, you know. That's where my father was born. Look, here's a photo of my father and Uncle Farid when they were growing up.
Did your grandfather have a job in Jordan?
Yes, but before he went to Jordan, he'd lived in many other countries.
Is this a photo of your grandfather?
Yes, that's him. And look, this is a photo of my cousin Hind. In this photo, she's with her husband. She met him when she was working as a nurse. His sister had broken her leg in an accident, and she looked after her in the hospital.
Well, that is an accident with a happy ending then.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so let's start with photo number 1. It was the photo of his uncle, as he said, with his wife. The uncle is his father's brother. So this is number 1. They were in Mexico. Okay, so what's number 2? He said that this is a photo of my uncle with my dad when they were very young. So this is number 2, of course. And number 3 was the photo of his grandfather. So which one is the grandfather? Of course, this one, the grandfather who lived in Jordan. And finally is his cousin with her husband here. She's a nurse, as he said. So that's number 4. These are the answers in your class People's Book, activity number 17, page number 93. Next activity. Listen again and complete the text below the photos. So now you're going to listen and complete. So write the correct word as you hear it. When you hear the word, you write it in the correct space. The correct word in the correct space.
This is an interesting photo.
Yes, that's my Uncle Farid on the left and my Aunt Layla on the right. They just arrived in Mexico on holiday. They're sitting in a cafe and they decided where to visit next. Uncle Farid is my father's brother. They were brought up in Jordan, you know. That's where my father was born. Look, here's a photo of my father and Uncle Farid when they were growing up.
Did your grandfather have a job in Jordan?
Yes, but before he went to Jordan, he'd lived in many other countries.
Is this a photo of your grandfather?
Yes, that's him. And look, this is a photo of my cousin Hind. In this photo, she's with her husband. She met him when she was working as a nurse. His sister had broken her leg in an accident, and she looked after her in the hospital.
Well, that is an accident with a happy ending then.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so A, let's start with A. This is my, who is she? He said, this is my. Okay, we have here cousin, husband, uncle, aunt, grandfather, father or brother. Of course, she is his cousin. Here she is with her. Who's this? Of course, it's her husband. This is who, he said. Yeah, well done. It's his uncle, his brother, his father's brother. On the left, and now your uncle's husband is your aunt, of course. And my aunt on holiday in Mexico. Next this is my grandfather. He had lived in many different countries before he went to work in Jordan. This is my father with his brother when they were growing up. Okay, so that's the activities we have in the People's Book. Let's go to the activity book. Now, what are we going to do in the activity book? We are going to make an interview. As we said, we are going to choose one person in our family that we are going to write about this person's history. Now we are going to ask questions. Before we ask questions to this person, there's an important thing we have to put in our mind. We have to be polite when you ask a question. Now that's number one. When you ask a question to this elder person in your family, you have to be very polite with him or her and listen politely to the answer. When you ask, let this person say his full answer, and then you write down the answer in your book. So what are you going to do again? You are going to write, these are the questions you have here to ask this person. You're going to write about his history or her history. You are going to write a biography of somebody in your family. Choose an older person who has or had an interesting life. Interview him or her or somebody who knows. Now, if you can't reach this person, you can ask somebody who knows them. For example, you want to ask your grandfather, but you can't go to your grandfather. You can't call him. You can ask your mother or your father about your grandfather to give you this information. To find out the answers to these questions, make notes. Number one, when and where were you born? This question you are going to ask to this person. So you will write his answer. He said, for example, I was born in. You say the when and where, the date, when was he born, and the place. So the date and the place. Were you named after someone? For example, if you say yes, you will say, yes, I was named after. Tell me what was he named after. Write the answer here. Where did you grow up? I grew up in. Where did this person grow up? You're going to write his answer. Who brought you up? My, for example, parents, my brother, my uncle brought me up, whoever the answer was. Who do you take after? I take after this person. Who does he take after? Who did you eat? Who did you get on with when you were young? I got on with who was the person that he was very close to? They were very friends with. Is it his brother, his cousin? You're gonna write down the answer here. Who did you look up to? You're gonna write his answer, the answer that this person said. You write it down. I looked up to who had an influence on your life and how. Someone who had an influence on his life and how or why. So write down the answer. What have you studied? What was his education? I have studied what? Elementary school, bachelor degree. Did he study in the university? What jobs have you done? I have done. What were the jobs that this person did? Did you get married? No. Yes, I did. Or no, I didn't. Did you have children? Again, yes, I did. Or no, I didn't. So after you finish writing the answers of your questions here, you're going to start writing your text or your paragraph. Use your notes from activity 16 to write your biography of a family member. How do I start this paragraph? You will start it by saying, this is my grandfather, for example, my aunt, my uncle, my dad, my mother, whoever the person that you are going to write about. Now, if it's a man, you're going to continue saying he was born in. If it's a lady, you're going to say, of course, she was. Okay, so he was born in, tell me, in what was his answer? What did he say? In what? And the place and the date. He was named after who, or she was named after. He grew up, or she grew up in, and go on. You continue your text and your paragraph. After you finish, I want you to take a photo of this paragraph you've written and send it to me. I will be really very happy to see your biographies written. So as soon as you finish, take a photo of it and send it to me. That was the lesson for today. Thank you everyone for watching this video, and please write for me if you have any questions or comments under this video in Classera or in the discussion room. Thank you very much, and see you in our next video. Goodbye.